Chosen one, stop for a moment and listen with your spirit, because this message did not find you by accident. There is something hidden behind the letter J, something connected to a person, a season, a decision, or even a part of yourself that God is bringing into the light. You may have sensed it without understanding it. You may have felt that something was different, that something was being concealed, that something was waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Before it's too late, God wants you to see what your natural eyes could not see, understand what your mind could not explain, and recognize what your spirit has been trying to tell you. Chosen one, there are moments in life when God allows you to stand in a place where you cannot see the entire picture. You see pieces, you see signs. You see unusual conversations, unexpected distance, strange timing, repeated names, dreams that stay with you after waking, and circumstances that seem to connect in ways you cannot explain. You may have been asking yourself why the letter J keeps coming to your attention. Why does this person come to mind? Why does this name keep appearing? Why does something about J feel unfinished? And perhaps you have tried to dismiss it. You told yourself that you were overthinking. You told yourself that it was coincidence. You told yourself that you should stop looking for meaning in everything. But deep down, something has continued to pull at your attention. Not because you are supposed to become obsessed with a person, but because God can use ordinary details to make you pause and examine what is happening around you. Chosen one, understand this clearly: not every sign is a prophecy, and not every coincidence is a divine message. But when something repeatedly causes you to seek God, examine your heart, use wisdom, and pay attention to your surroundings, it may be worth bringing before Him in prayer. God does not need confusion to guide you. He can reveal truth with clarity, wisdom, peace, and confirmation. That is why the secret connected to J may not be what you initially think. You may be expecting this secret to be about another person. You may think J has been hiding feelings. You may think J has been keeping information from you. You may believe there is a conversation happening behind your back, an intention that has not yet been revealed, or a decision that someone has not told you about. But what if the deeper secret is not simply what J knows? What if the deeper secret is what you have not yet realized about yourself? Chosen one, sometimes God allows another person's behavior to expose something inside you. Someone's silence may reveal how much you have been waiting for human validation. Someone's rejection may reveal where you have been attaching your worth. Someone's return may reveal whether you have truly healed. Someone's distance may reveal whether you are willing to trust God, even when you cannot control the outcome. And this is where the message becomes serious. Because God does not reveal things merely to satisfy curiosity. He reveals things to prepare you. He reveals what is hidden because He loves you enough to prevent you from walking blindly into something that could cost you your peace. He exposes motives because He does not want you building your future on appearances. He allows certain masks to fall because you cannot enter your next season while continuing to believe an old version of the story. You have been asking, God, what is really happening? When perhaps heaven's answer is, wait, watch, pray, do not move before I give you clarity. Chosen one, there is a difference between spiritual discernment and fear. Fear makes you assume the worst. Discernment teaches you to observe without panic. Fear tells you to chase answers immediately. Wisdom teaches you to wait until the truth becomes clear. Fear makes you suspicious of everyone. Discernment helps you recognize patterns without abandoning reason. So when you hear the name J, do not allow your imagination to become your evidence. Instead, take it to God. Ask Him to reveal what you need to know and to hide from you anything you are not ready to carry. Ask Him to close the wrong doors without requiring you to force them closed. Ask Him to expose deception without allowing bitterness to take root inside you. Ask Him to give you the strength to accept the truth, even if the truth is different from what you hoped for. Because chosen one, sometimes the revelation you are praying for will not confirm what you wanted. Sometimes it will correct you. Sometimes God will show you that the person you were idealizing was never the person you imagined. Sometimes He will show you that the door you were begging Him to open was actually a door He was protecting you from. Sometimes He will reveal that the delay was not punishment. It was protection. And sometimes the secret behind J is that you are closer to a major transition than you realize. There are seasons when God begins removing your attachment to things that once felt essential. You stop craving certain conversations. You stop needing explanations from people who once controlled your emotions. You stop checking whether someone has noticed your absence. You stop trying to prove your value to people who refuse to recognize it. And then something changes. You realize you are no longer waiting for them. You are waiting on God. That is a powerful shift. Chosen one, maybe J, represents someone who entered your life during a season when you were searching for direction. Maybe that person awakened emotions you had buried. Maybe they challenged you, encouraged you, disappointed you, or left you with questions. Perhaps their presence felt strangely significant. But significance does not always mean permanence. Some people are lessons. Some are mirrors, some are assignments for a season, some are warnings, some are blessings, and some are simply people whose role in your story was never meant to be understood until later. God knows the difference. You do not have to force yourself to know everything today. There is a reason Scripture repeatedly emphasizes wisdom, patience, testing, and discernment. Your emotions can be sincere and still be mistaken. Your intuition can be strong and still require confirmation. Your desire can be intense and still not be God's will. So breathe. Do not chase J. Do not interrogate J. Do not accuse J. Do not build an entire story around a letter. Instead, watch what happens when you surrender the situation. Because when you release your need to control the outcome, you create space to recognize what is actually happening. Chosen one, there may be something J has not told you, but there may also be something you have not told yourself. Maybe you have been pretending you do not care when you do. Maybe you have been saying you have moved on while secretly hoping for a return. Maybe you have been calling something faith when it is actually attachment. Maybe you have been calling something discernment when it is actually fear. And God is not exposing these things to shame you. He is exposing them to heal you. You cannot heal what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot release what you refuse to name. You cannot walk confidently into a new chapter while secretly negotiating with an old one. That is why this message may feel uncomfortable, because divine preparation often begins with divine confrontation. God lovingly asks, what are you still holding? What are you still afraid to lose? Whose approval are you still seeking? Why are you waiting for someone else to confirm what I have already placed inside you? A chosen one. Perhaps the secret is not that J is about to change your life. Perhaps the secret is that God is changing you so deeply that what J once represented will no longer have the same power over you. That is the kind of revelation that changes everything. Because when you become secure in God, manipulation loses its power. When you become grounded in truth, confusion loses its power. When you become comfortable with waiting, desperation loses its power. When you know who you are, rejection loses its power. And when you understand that God's plans cannot be destroyed by another person's decision, you stop living in fear of what someone else might do. Chosen one, there is something else you need to understand. Not every hidden thing must be uncovered by you. Some secrets belong to God until the appointed time. You are not called to investigate every mystery. You are called to walk in wisdom. There are things God will reveal naturally through circumstances. A person's actions will eventually speak. Contradictions will eventually become visible. Truth has a way of separating itself from deception when you stop forcing yourself to believe what you desperately want to believe. If J is meant to remain in your life, truth will not need to be manufactured. If J is meant to leave, you do not need to chase them to keep them. If J has something important to reveal, God can create the circumstances for that revelation. Your responsibility is not to control the revelation. Your responsibility is to remain aligned with God. Chosen one, maybe you have been feeling that something is about to happen. Maybe the atmosphere around your life has changed. Maybe you have become more sensitive to certain conversations and patterns. Maybe you have experienced a strange sense that a chapter is closing. Do not panic. A closing chapter is not necessarily a loss. Sometimes a closing chapter is evidence that God is making room. You cannot carry everything into your next season. Some relationships cannot survive your growth. Some habits cannot survive your awakening. Some beliefs cannot survive your healing. Some environments cannot survive your boundaries. And some versions of you cannot survive the person God is calling you to become. That is why you must not mistake separation for abandonment. There are times when God removes something not because He wants to punish you, but because He wants to protect what He is building in you. Chosen one, perhaps J, is connected to that process. Maybe J represents a person who taught you something you could not have learned any other way. Maybe they taught you patience. Maybe they taught you boundaries. Maybe they taught you the difference between words and actions. Maybe they taught you that chemistry is not character. Maybe they taught you that attention is not commitment. Maybe they taught you that someone can care about you and still be unable to give you what you need. These are painful lessons, but they are valuable. And sometimes the greatest secret is that the pain was not the end of your story. It was part of your preparation. Chosen one, you have survived moments you once believed would destroy you. You have cried over things you now understand differently. You have lost people and discovered parts of yourself. You have walked through silence and learned how to hear your own thoughts. You have been disappointed and discovered that disappointment did not mean destiny was canceled. You have waited and somehow you are still here. That matters. Because there is something about you that the season tried to break but could not destroy. And God sees it. He sees the part of you that kept praying when the answer did not come quickly. He sees the part of you that chose restraint when you could have reacted. He sees the part of you that wanted revenge but eventually chose peace. He sees the nights when nobody knew how heavy your thoughts were. He sees the questions you never asked out loud, and he is not finished with you. So if J has a secret, let God handle the secret. Your assignment is to handle your heart. Do not let curiosity become obsession. Do not let uncertainty become fear. Do not let another person's behavior become the measure of your worth. And do not let a mysterious situation distract you from the clear responsibilities already in front of you. There are things God has already told you to do. Heal, pray, work, forgive, set boundaries, grow, prepare, and keep moving. You do not need complete knowledge to take the next faithful step. Chosen one, there is a reason the title says, before it's too late. It does not mean you should panic. It means you should pay attention. There are moments in life when ignoring repeated lessons becomes costly. If someone repeatedly shows you that they are inconsistent, believe the pattern. If a situation repeatedly destroys your peace, examine it. If your conscience repeatedly warns you against a decision, slow down. If your values are being compromised just to keep someone close, stop and reconsider. You do not need a supernatural sign to recognize obvious behavior. Sometimes the revelation is already in front of you. You simply have to stop making excuses for what you can clearly see. And perhaps that is what God wants you to see about J. Not necessarily a hidden confession, not necessarily a secret plan, but the truth of the pattern, the truth of the behavior, the truth of the connection, the truth of what this situation has been producing inside you: peace or anxiety, growth or stagnation, wisdom or obsession, freedom or dependence, clarity or confusion. Chosen one, those questions matter, because something can feel powerful and still be unhealthy. Something can feel destined and still require boundaries. Something can be emotionally intense and still not be God's will. Do not confuse intensity with divine confirmation. God can lead you into something that requires courage, but he does not require you to abandon wisdom. And if J is part of your future, you will not need to destroy yourself to make it happen. What is truly aligned with God will not require you to become someone you are not. You will not need to beg for basic respect. You will not need to constantly decode mixed signals. You will not need to chase someone who refuses to meet you halfway. You will not need to sacrifice your dignity for the possibility of love. And you will not need to live in fear that one wrong move will cause God's entire plan to collapse. God is bigger than that. Chosen one, perhaps the secret you are about to discover is actually connected to timing. You may have been asking why something has taken so long. Why has G not spoken? Why has the situation not changed? Why has the opportunity not appeared? Why does everything seem delayed? But delay does not always mean denial. Sometimes God is changing circumstances that you cannot see. Sometimes he is changing you. Sometimes he is changing the other person. Sometimes he is closing doors that would have distracted you. Sometimes he is allowing time to reveal character. Time exposes what excitement can hide. Time exposes consistency. Time exposes intention. Time exposes whether someone truly values what they claim to value. And if you allow time to do its work, you will not have to force the truth. The truth will reveal itself. Chosen one, do not rush the unveiling. There is something powerful about allowing God to reveal things in his order. Because when God reveals something too early, you may not yet have the maturity to understand it. When he reveals something at the right time, you can recognize why it matters. That is why you may be experiencing a strange season of waiting. It may feel like nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, things may be shifting. Your priorities are changing. Your standards are changing. Your perception is changing. Your relationship with God is changing. And one day you may look back and realize that the waiting was not wasted. It prepared you to recognize what you would have previously misunderstood. Chosen one, J, may be part of a revelation, but do not make bigger than God. That is the warning. Never allow a person to occupy the place that belongs to God. Never allow a relationship to become your identity. Never allow someone's response to determine whether you believe you are valuable. Never allow a mystery to become more important than your mission. Because there is a life beyond this situation. There is a purpose beyond this person. There is a future beyond this chapter. And if you become so focused on decoding someone else that you stop developing yourself, you may miss what God is doing right in front of you. Chosen one, there is still more to be revealed. There is still another layer beneath what you have been seeing. And when that layer begins to surface, you may understand why certain things had to happen the way they did, why certain people disappeared, why certain conversations never happened, and why the timing felt so strange. But for now, do not force the door. Do not chase the answer. Do not surrender your peace to uncertainty. Stand still long enough to listen. Pray before reacting. Observe before assuming. And remember that what is hidden from you is not hidden from God. The secret connected to J may eventually come into the light, but when it does, the most important question will not be, what was J hiding? The most important question will be, what did God want me to understand through all of this? And that question can transform the entire story. Because perhaps the revelation was never only about someone else. Perhaps it was about your discernment, your healing, your boundaries, your identity, your timing, your obedience, your next chapter, and perhaps chosen one. God has been preparing you all along to recognize something that you could not see when you were still emotionally attached to the outcome. Chosen one. Perhaps that is the very reason you are hearing this message now. You are standing at the edge of understanding something that once confused you. You are beginning to see that not every unanswered question deserves your immediate attention. Some answers arrive when you stop chasing them. Some truths become obvious when you stop arguing with what your own eyes have already shown you. And some revelations only make sense after you have grown enough to understand why God allowed the situation to unfold in the first place. Maybe Jay has been quiet. Maybe Jay has been distant. Maybe Jay has appeared and disappeared. Maybe you have noticed a strange pattern where this person comes close whenever you begin moving forward, then becomes distant when you begin expecting consistency. Maybe you have experienced conversations that seemed meaningful one day and confusing the next. Maybe there have been moments when you thought, this has to mean something, only to find yourself questioning everything again. Chosen one, do not allow inconsistency to become your normal. You were not created to live permanently in uncertainty. There is a difference between waiting patiently for something God is developing and remaining trapped in a cycle that continually drains your spirit. If J is connected to your destiny, you will not have to destroy your peace to maintain the connection. Let that settle into your heart. You do not have to chase what God has assigned to you. You do not have to manipulate circumstances. You do not have to become smaller so someone else feels comfortable. You do not have to hide your standards because you are afraid that honesty will cause someone to walk away. Sometimes the fear of losing someone is exactly what keeps you from discovering whether they were ever truly willing to stay. And God wants you to understand that. Chosen one. There may have been a time when you believed that holding on tightly was an expression of love. You thought if you were patient enough, understanding enough, forgiving enough, available enough, eventually everything would become clear. But there comes a point where patience without boundaries becomes self-abandonment. You can forgive someone and still create distance. You can love someone and still refuse confusion. You can care about someone's circumstances and still say, this is not healthy for me. You can pray for someone without making them the center of your life. That is maturity. That is discernment. That is freedom. And perhaps Jay is unknowingly teaching you that lesson. Maybe you have spent too much time wondering what another person feels when God is asking you to examine what you feel. What happens inside you when Jay reaches out? Do you feel peace? Or do you immediately feel anxious? Do you feel respected? Or do you start questioning your worth? Do you feel secure? Or do you begin trying to predict what will happen next? These questions are not accusations against Jay. They are invitations to understand yourself. Chosen one, God cares about what happens inside you. He cares about your emotional health, your choices, your relationships, and your ability to walk through uncertainty without losing your identity. Sometimes a person can become a mirror. They reveal where you still need healing. They reveal what you tolerate. They reveal what you fear. They reveal what you desire. They reveal what you have been unwilling to surrender. And perhaps that is why Jay has occupied so much space in your thoughts. Not because Jay necessarily possesses the answer to your future, but because the situation has exposed a question inside you that God wants you to answer. What are you willing to accept? What are you no longer willing to accept? What does love mean to you? What does loyalty mean to you? What does respect look like? What does obedience to God look like when your emotions are pulling you in another direction? Chosen one, these questions matter more than any secret conversation happening somewhere beyond your view. Because if you become stronger internally, you will no longer be controlled by external uncertainty. You will stop needing every person to explain themselves before you can move forward. You will stop needing closure from people who may never give it. You will stop believing that your healing depends on someone else's apology. You will stop waiting for someone to finally recognize your value. And that is when something changes. You become difficult to manipulate because you no longer need what another person can withhold. You become difficult to confuse because you are paying attention to patterns. You become difficult to pull backward because you have finally learned how to move forward. Chosen one, maybe the secret is that Jay has noticed this change in you. Maybe they have sensed that you are becoming different. Maybe they recognize that you are no longer reacting the way you once did. Maybe they expected you to remain available forever. Maybe they assumed you would always answer, always explain, always forgive, always return. But something inside you has shifted. You are beginning to understand that your silence can be a boundary. Your distance can be wisdom. Your refusal to argue can be maturity. Your decision to walk away can be obedience. And your decision to remain peaceful does not mean you are weak. It means you have stopped allowing every situation to determine your emotional state. Chosen one, there is strength in that. There is power in being able to say, I do not know what this person is thinking, but I know what God is asking me to do. That sentence can save you from years of confusion. Because you may never know every motive behind another person's actions. You may never know why they said one thing and did another. You may never know why they came close and then disappeared. You may never know what they truly felt. But you can know your own values. You can know your boundaries. You can know your purpose. You can know what kind of life you are building. And you can know that your future is not dependent upon receiving answers from someone who refuses to communicate clearly. Chosen one, perhaps Jay, has a secret. But remember, secrets eventually become burdens for the person carrying them. People can hide words, they can hide intentions. They can hide conversations, they can hide emotions. But they cannot permanently hide patterns. Eventually, behavior speaks. Eventually, decisions speak. Eventually, consistency or inconsistency speaks. Eventually, time speaks. And when time speaks, you will not need to argue with it. You will simply recognize what has been there all along. That is why you should not rush to expose anyone. Let people reveal themselves. You do not have to become a detective in your own life. You do not have to search through every detail. You do not have to interpret every message. You do not have to examine every social interaction. You do not have to build theories around silence. God can give you discernment without turning your life into an investigation. Chosen one, there is a peace that comes when you finally stop trying to control what you cannot control. You release the question, you release the person, you release the timeline, you release the outcome. And you say, God, if this is for me, make it clear. If it is not for me, give me the strength to let it go. If there is something I need to learn, teach me. If there is something I need to see, open my eyes. If there is something I need to leave behind, give me courage. That is a powerful prayer, because you are no longer demanding a specific answer. You are asking for truth, and truth is safer than wishful thinking. Chosen one, sometimes we ask God to reveal something while secretly hoping He will confirm what we already believe. We say, show me the truth. But what we really mean is, show me that I am right. Be careful, because spiritual maturity requires you to be willing to receive an answer you did not expect. Maybe Jay is not who you thought. Maybe the connection is not what you imagined. Maybe the opportunity is real, but the timing is wrong. Maybe the person cares but cannot provide what you need. Maybe there is a future possibility, but you are being asked to stop forcing the present. Maybe the secret is simply that you have been trying to obtain from a person what only God can give you. Validation, security, identity, peace, purpose. Chosen one, no human being can permanently supply those things. That is why even relationships that begin beautifully can become painful when we expect another person to complete what only God can establish within us. You are already valuable. Before Jay noticed you, before anyone applauded you, before anyone chose you, before anyone rejected you, before anyone understood you, your value existed. And if Jay never understands your worth does not decrease. If Jay walks away, your destiny does not disappear. If Jay returns, your identity does not suddenly become more important. Your worth was never waiting for another person's permission. Chosen one, this may be the secret God wants you to see before it is too late. You have been looking outward for confirmation of something God wants you to establish inwardly. You have been waiting for someone else to say, you matter. And God is saying, you already do. You have been waiting for someone else to choose you. And God is saying, stop begging for a seat at a table I never asked you to sit at. You have been wondering whether someone else sees your potential. God is asking whether you see what He placed inside you. You have been studying someone else's behavior. God is calling you back to your own assignment. Chosen one, what if this is the season when you stop asking, what does Jay want? And start asking, what does God want from me? What if you stop asking, will Jay come back? And start asking, where is God leading me? What if you stop asking, does Jay secretly care? And start asking, am I caring for myself in the way God has taught me to? Those questions shift your entire perspective. Suddenly, the mystery loses its power. You are no longer trapped inside someone else's story. You return to your own, and your story is bigger than one person. Chosen one, perhaps there is a reason you have been feeling restless lately. Restlessness can sometimes be an invitation to examine what no longer fits. Maybe your environment feels too small. Maybe your habits no longer satisfy you. Maybe conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. Maybe you are becoming uncomfortable with things you used to tolerate. That discomfort may not mean something is wrong with you. It may mean you are growing. Growth often feels strange before it feels beautiful. When a person outgrows an old version of themselves, they may temporarily feel like they do not belong anywhere. The old place no longer feels right. The new place is not opened yet, so they stand between chapters. That space can feel lonely. But do not mistake loneliness for abandonment. Sometimes God uses transitional seasons to teach you how to walk without constant reassurance. Chosen one, perhaps Jay, is part of that transition. Maybe the situation is forcing you to confront whether you trust God enough to release control. Because faith is not simply believing God can give you what you want. Faith is believing God is still good when He does not give you what you expected. That is a deeper faith. That is the faith that survives disappointment. That is the faith that can stand when circumstances change. That is the faith that allows you to say, even if this does not happen the way I imagined, I still trust God. Chosen one, you are entering a place where your peace must become stronger than your curiosity. You may not know what Jay is planning. You may not know what Jay has said. You may not know what Jay truly feels. But you can choose peace. You can choose wisdom. You can choose boundaries. You can choose prayer. And you can choose not to let uncertainty consume your days. Do not give a temporary mystery permanent authority over your life. There are dreams waiting for you. There are responsibilities waiting for you. There are opportunities you have not yet recognized. There are people you have not yet met. There are places you have not yet seen. There are versions of yourself you have not yet become. But do not sacrifice all of that because you are trying to decode one person. Chosen one, maybe the greatest thing God is doing is redirecting your attention. You thought He was going to reveal something about Jay, but He is revealing something about you. You thought He was going to expose someone's secret, but He is exposing your strength. You thought He was going to explain the past, but He is preparing you for the future. You thought you were waiting for an answer, but perhaps you were being prepared to become the answer to your own prayers. Think about how different you are now. There are things you once begged for that you no longer want. There are people you once chased that you would no longer pursue. There are conversations you once needed that you can now live without. There are situations that once controlled your emotions that now barely disturb you. That is evidence of growth. Do not overlook it. Chosen one. Sometimes you will not recognize your transformation because you are too busy waiting for someone else's transformation. You are watching to see whether Jay has changed. But have you noticed how much you have changed? You used to react immediately. Now you pause. You used to explain yourself endlessly. Now you let your actions speak. You used to chase clarity. Now you wait for consistency. You used to fear losing people. Now you fear losing yourself. That is growth. And growth changes the kind of relationships you can sustain. Some connections were built around an older version of you. When you change, the relationship may feel different. Do not automatically assume the difference means failure. Sometimes it means the old dynamic cannot continue. Chosen one, God may be teaching you to recognize the difference between being wanted and being valued. Someone can want access to you without respecting you. Someone can miss you without being ready to treat you differently. Someone can desire your presence without understanding your purpose. Someone can return because they are lonely, not because they have changed. That is why actions matter. Words can be emotional, promises can be beautiful, apologies can sound sincere. But transformation is demonstrated over time. Do not judge the future by one emotional conversation. Watch the pattern. Chosen one, if Jay returns, do not automatically assume that the return itself is confirmation. A return is an event, consistency is evidence. Do not confuse the two. If someone comes back, observe. If someone apologizes, observe. If someone makes promises, observe. If someone suddenly becomes interested, observe. You do not need to reject them immediately. You do not need to accept them immediately. You can simply watch. Let time reveal whether the words have roots. That is wisdom. And if Jay never returns, do not interpret that as proof that you were unworthy. Sometimes absence is the answer. Sometimes silence is the closure. Sometimes God closes a chapter without giving you every detail, because He knows that too much information would tempt you to reopen what He is asking you to release. Chosen one, you may never receive the explanation you wanted, and you can still heal. You may never hear the confession you hoped for, and you can still move forward. You may never discover every secret, and you can still have peace. Because closure is not always something another person gives you. Sometimes closure is something you decide when you finally stop demanding that the past become different. The past will not become different, but your relationship with the past can change. You can remember without returning. You can forgive without reconnecting. You can appreciate what was good without pretending what was harmful did not happen. You can love someone from a distance, and you can wish someone well without inviting them back into your life. Chosen one, that is freedom, and freedom may be the very thing God is bringing you toward. Perhaps the secret behind Jay is connected to a door. Not a literal door, but a decision. A choice between staying attached to what is familiar and stepping toward what is unknown. The familiar may not be good. It may simply be familiar, and the unknown may be frightening. But sometimes the unknown is where growth begins. God may be asking you to step away from what you can predict and trust Him with what you cannot. That is where faith becomes real. Not when everything is clear, but when you take the next step without seeing the entire staircase. Chosen one, do not be afraid of the next chapter just because you cannot see it yet. You have survived chapters you once thought were impossible. You are still here. You are still learning. You are still becoming. And there is more ahead. Perhaps Jay is not the destination. Perhaps J is a signpost, a reminder, a lesson, a mirror, a turning point, and perhaps years from now you will look back and say, "No, I understand why that happened." You will understand why certain conversations ended, why certain opportunities disappeared, why certain people could not follow you, why certain prayers seemed unanswered. Because sometimes the answer becomes visible only after you reach the next place. Chosen one, this is why you must not give up in the middle of the story. You are judging the chapter while God is writing the book. Do not call the story finished because one chapter hurts. Do not call yourself forgotten because one person left. Do not call yourself rejected because one opportunity disappeared. Do not call yourself behind because your timeline looks different. God is not limited by the pace at which you think things should happen. There are things developing that you cannot yet see. There are connections forming. There are opportunities being prepared. There are lessons becoming wisdom. There are wounds becoming testimonies. And there are doors that will only make sense when you are ready to walk through them. Chosen one, perhaps, J, has a secret. But God has something greater than a secret. He has purpose. And purpose is bigger than curiosity. So do not spend all your energy trying to uncover what another person is hiding while ignoring what God is revealing about you. Pay attention to your growth. Pay attention to your peace. Pay attention to your convictions. Pay attention to your patterns. Pay attention to the doors opening and closing. Pay attention to the people who consistently show up. Pay attention to the moments when your spirit feels settled rather than pressured. Pay attention to what brings you closer to God and what constantly pulls you away from Him. These things matter. Chosen one, there will come a moment when the mystery becomes clear enough that you will not need another sign. You will simply know. And when that moment comes, do not allow fear to make you ignore what you see. If the truth is beautiful, receive it with gratitude. If the truth is painful, receive it with courage. If the truth requires you to walk away, walk away. If the truth requires you to wait, wait. If the truth requires forgiveness, forgive. If the truth requires a conversation, have it with wisdom. But do not return to blindness simply because clarity makes you uncomfortable. You asked God to show you. When He shows you, be willing to see. Chosen one, perhaps that is what, before it's too late, truly means. Not that you are running out of time to obtain J, but that you should not wait so long to obey God that you lose yourself trying to preserve something He never asked you to preserve. Do not stay in confusion because you are afraid of change. Do not tolerate disrespect because you are afraid of loneliness. Do not ignore red flags because you are afraid that acknowledging them will hurt. Do not abandon your values because you are afraid someone will leave. The right people will not require you to betray yourself to keep them. And if someone walks away because you finally established a healthy boundary, their departure may hurt, but it will not destroy you. Sometimes losing access to someone is how you regain access to yourself. Chosen one, let that sentence stay with you. You may have been giving away pieces of yourself trying to maintain a connection. Your attention, your time, your sleep, your confidence, your peace, your focus, your joy. And God may be saying, come back to yourself. Come back to prayer. Come back to purpose. Come back to the dreams you postponed. Come back to the work you neglected. Come back to the version of you that existed before this situation became the center of your thoughts. You have a life to live, and that life should not be placed on hold while you wait for another person to reveal their secret. Chosen one, perhaps the secret is finally becoming visible. Perhaps J was never supposed to be the person who completed your story. Perhaps J was supposed to be the person who triggered your awakening. Perhaps that relationship encounter, disappointment, or mystery was the catalyst that forced you to ask deeper questions. Who am I? What do I truly want? What do I believe? What do I tolerate? What do I need to heal? Where is God leading me? And what am I willing to release? Those questions can change your life, because when you answer them honestly, you become less dependent on other people's answers. You begin to understand yourself. You begin to recognize your patterns. You begin to see why certain situations repeatedly found you. And you begin to choose differently. Chosen one, maybe your next chapter requires a different version of you. Not a perfect version, a wiser one, a more grounded one, a more discerning one. A version that understands that love without respect is not enough. A version that understands that promises without action are not enough. A version that understands that attraction without alignment is not enough. A version that understands that spiritual language does not automatically make someone's intentions pure. Look at fruit. Look at character. Look at consistency. Look at humility. Look at how someone treats people when they have nothing to gain. Look at how they respond when you say no. Look at how they behave when they are disappointed. Look at whether they respect your boundaries. Those things reveal more than beautiful words ever could. Chosen one, do not be hypnotized by potential. Potential is not the same as reality. You can see the best in someone and still accept the truth about who they are today. You can believe someone can change and still refuse to build your life around who they might become. That is wisdom, and perhaps God is teaching you exactly that through J. You do not need to hate someone to stop waiting for them. You do not need to demonize someone to create distance. You do not need to prove that someone is bad to admit that the connection is not good for you. Sometimes two people are simply not aligned, and accepting that can be more peaceful than spending years searching for someone to blame. Chosen one, you are not responsible for saving everyone you love. You are not responsible for carrying everyone. You are not responsible for fixing every broken relationship. You are not responsible for convincing someone to see your value, and you are not responsible for making another person's choices work. You are responsible for your obedience, your character, your boundaries, your decisions, your relationship with God, your healing, your direction. That is enough. So if J is part of your story, let God write that part. If J is leaving, let the chapter close. If J is returning, let actions prove the return. If J is changing, let time reveal the change. If J is hiding something, trust that truth has a way of surfacing. And if the entire mystery is ultimately about you, then embrace the revelation. Because perhaps the person you have been waiting for is not J. Perhaps the person you have been waiting to become is you, the healed you, the confident you, the disciplined you, the peaceful you, the spiritually mature you, the you who no longer begs for what should be freely given, the you who can walk away without revenge, the you who can love without losing yourself, the you who can wait without becoming desperate, the you who can receive without becoming dependent, the you who can stand alone without feeling abandoned. Chosen one, that version of you is closer than you think, and perhaps everything surrounding J has been pushing you toward that version. So do not waste the lesson. Do not waste the pain. Do not waste the waiting. Do not waste the unanswered questions. Let them produce wisdom. Let them produce discernment. Let them produce strength. Let them deepen your faith. Because one day, when the truth finally becomes completely visible, you may realize that God was not trying to keep you from the answer. He was preparing you to handle it. And when you finally see what was hidden, you may discover that the greatest revelation was never about what J secretly wanted. It was about what God was secretly preparing you to become. And when that realization begins to settle into your spirit, you will understand why certain doors stayed closed, why certain conversations were delayed, why certain connections could not continue in the same way, and why you were repeatedly brought back to the same lesson until you finally recognized what God was trying to show you. Chosen one, now you are beginning to understand that the secret was never meant to create fear inside you. It was meant to create awareness. It was meant to wake you up from the habit of waiting for someone else to determine your direction. There are moments when God allows the truth to unfold slowly, because He wants your faith to become stronger than your need for immediate answers. And perhaps this has been one of those moments. You have asked questions, you have wondered, you have watched, you have waited, you have prayed, and maybe there were times when you thought nothing was happening. But something was happening. You were changing. Every unanswered question taught you patience. Every disappointment taught you discernment. Every confusing moment taught you not to build your peace on another person's behavior. Every time you wanted to chase an answer but chose to step back, you were becoming stronger. Chosen one, that is why you must not look at this entire experience as wasted time. Even the moments that hurt you can become wisdom when you place them in God's hands. Maybe J was meant to reveal something you needed to know about relationships. Maybe J was meant to expose an attachment you needed to release. Maybe J was meant to show you how deeply you desire to be understood, valued, chosen, and respected. Those desires are not wrong, but they must never become so powerful that they make you abandon yourself. You deserve relationships built on honesty. You deserve communication that does not leave you constantly guessing. You deserve consistency. You deserve respect. And most importantly, you deserve the peace that comes from knowing you do not have to force what God has not ordained. Chosen one, if there is something hidden concerning G, let God reveal it in His timing. Do not let fear become your guide. Do not let suspicion become your lifestyle. Do not let a mysterious situation steal your joy. If the truth is meant to reach you, it will reach you. You do not have to chase it down, and when it arrives, you will be stronger than you were before. That is the part you may not have realized. You thought you needed the answer before you could move forward. But God was teaching you how to move forward without having every answer. That is faith. Faith does not mean you know every detail. Faith means you trust the one who does. Chosen one, there will be things you never understand completely. There will be people whose decisions will never make sense to you. There will be doors that close without explanation. There will be endings that do not come with the apology you deserved. But you can still move forward. You can still forgive. You can still rebuild. You can still dream. You can still love. You can still believe. And you can still become everything God has called you to become. Do not let one unanswered question become the definition of your entire life. Your future is larger than J. Your purpose is larger than this situation. Your identity is deeper than someone else's opinion. and your destiny is not hanging by a thread controlled by another human being. Chosen one, perhaps this is the final thing God wants you to understand. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not getting the person you wanted. Sometimes the miracle is becoming the person you needed to be. The person who can recognize healthy love. The person who can recognize manipulation. The person who can distinguish between attention and commitment. The person who can distinguish between chemistry and compatibility. The person who can distinguish between a temporary emotional high and genuine peace. The person who can walk away when something violates their values. The person who can wait without becoming desperate. The person who can trust God without demanding a timetable. That person is being formed inside you, and perhaps J was simply part of the process. Chosen one, if J returns someday, let them meet the new you. Let them meet someone who knows their worth. Let them meet someone who does not chase. Let them meet someone who does not accept confusion as love. Let them meet someone who listens to words but watches actions. Let them meet someone who can forgive without forgetting wisdom. And if J never returns, let that be okay too, because your life does not stop at one person's absence. There are still doors ahead. There are still prayers that will be answered in unexpected ways. There are still opportunities that will surprise you. There are still relationships that will teach you what consistency feels like. There are still moments when you will laugh again without forcing it. There are still mornings when you will wake up and realize that the thing you once cried over no longer controls you. There is healing ahead. There is growth ahead. There is purpose ahead. Chosen one, do not be afraid of what God removes. If He removes something, trust that He sees what you cannot see. If He delays something, trust that He understands timing better than you do. If He redirects you, trust that the new path may protect you from an old pattern. And if He reveals something painful, trust Him enough to face it. You do not need to know everything today. You only need enough courage for the next step. So take that step, pray, breathe, release, move forward. Let God handle what you cannot control. And if the name J appears again, do not immediately let your emotions take over. Pause. Ask yourself what this moment is teaching you. Ask whether the situation produces peace or confusion. Ask whether the connection aligns with your values. Ask whether you are moving closer to God or further away from Him. Then listen, not to fear, not to fantasy, not to desperation. Listen for wisdom. Chosen one, your greatest confirmation may not come through a dramatic sign. It may come through peace. It may come through consistency. It may come through an opportunity arriving at exactly the right moment. It may come through a door closing that you once begged to keep open. It may come through finally realizing that you no longer need the answer you once thought you could not live without. And when that happens, you will know that you have crossed a line. You are no longer waiting for someone else to complete the story. You are walking with God. You are becoming whole. You are becoming wise. You are becoming free. And that is why you must not be afraid of the truth. Whatever the secret is, let it be revealed. Whatever needs to end, let it end. Whatever needs to begin, let it begin. Whatever needs to heal, let it heal. Whatever needs to be released, let it go. Because you are not losing your future by releasing what is not meant for you. You are making room for it. Chosen one, remember this when you feel tempted to go backward. What God has for you will not require you to destroy your peace to obtain it. You do not have to beg. You do not have to chase. You do not have to compete. You do not have to manipulate. You do not have to become someone else. You simply have to remain faithful, remain wise, remain patient, and keep walking. One day, you will look back at this season and realize that the secret was not something to fear. It was something to learn from. J may have been a person. J may have been a chapter. J may have been a lesson. J may have been a turning point. But God was always bigger than the letter. And the moment you understand that, the mystery loses its power over you. Chosen one, you are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not invisible. You are not disqualified because one person did not recognize your value. You are still becoming. You are still growing. You are still being prepared. So lift your head. Stop looking backward for an answer that may already be teaching you how to walk forward. Give the situation to God. Give J to God. Give the unanswered questions to God. Give your fears to God. Give your future to God. And then give yourself permission to live again. Because your story is not ending here. This was never the end. It was a lesson inside the journey. And perhaps the greatest revelation of all is this: the thing you thought was hidden from you was never hidden from God. He saw the beginning. He saw the confusion. He saw the waiting. He saw the tears. He saw the growth. And He already sees where this journey is taking you. So walk forward, chosen one. Walk without fear. Walk with wisdom. Walk with patience. Walk with faith. Let truth reveal itself. Let time confirm what words cannot. Let God close what needs to close and open what needs to open. And when you finally stand on the other side of this chapter, you will understand why you had to endure the uncertainty, why you had to learn to wait, why you had to stop chasing, and why God kept reminding you that your destiny was never in the hands of J. Your destiny was always in His hands. And now, chosen one, the secret has served its purpose. Not because every detail has been revealed, but because you have finally learned to trust God more than the mystery. You have learned that your peace is precious, your purpose is greater than temporary confusion, and your future does not depend on another person's decision. Whatever comes next, you do not have to be afraid. You can face it with wisdom. You can face it with courage. You can face it with faith. And you can move forward knowing that what is truly meant for you will never require you to lose yourself in order to receive it.